Okay, here's a description of what Dead Flowers is going to be about. So, we start off in the year 1992. Haydenson is 17 years old, and he's been in this town his entire life, and never really had a group of friends until senior year of high school, where his only friend let him join the group of her friends that they all kind of knew him in high school and middle school and all of that stuff, but they kind of just saw him as, weird and quiet, basically. And around senior year is when he, I guess you could say, began to have signs of mania and psychological struggles, I guess. And they saw that as a way to kind of use him as as a muse for the group. So, they started bringing him around and stuff like that. And I wanted to point out that this is all filmed on like a 90s VHS camera, so it's kind of like a vlog style thing, but more intuitive and in depth when it comes to that stuff. And he's not even the main character of this story, which is weird but interesting at the same time, because little by little he kind of forms everything in that story and becomes the main character. And his friend, the girl that kind of brought him into this group, realizes that her friends tend to be quote-unquote nice with him, but eventually it turns out to be that they're just straight up using him as a target to just make fun of him and watch him go, manic and have rants on stuff. And they eventually start physically abusing him and making fun of him and stuff. Basically pushing him, seeing what his limits are and all that stuff. And eventually he does have a complete deterioration and just snaps and starts, killing them off one by one. And you really start seeing, a lot of people in high school had people like that who've done that to them. And I feel like it could be really interesting to see these two polar opposite people who are friends. One realizing that people are hurting him, and the other one realizing the same thing, but wanting to take out that anger in a wrongful way compared to his friend, not her friend, trying to stop the friends from hurting Haydenson and not wanting it to resort in something bad. And in the end, it's just kind of an homage to basically the late 90s and what led up, which is, Columbine and just the quote-unquote fear of white people. So I really want to get in depth with Haydenson and really show a realistic psychopath and sociopath, because through the VHS things in the beginning and even in the end, it's not necessarily bullying because he's too quiet, because like I said prior, he becomes way more charismatic and talkative and in depth with what he says, and you can just tell that there's just something about him that makes him interesting to the group. But it's also something that they use against him, because they know that it's easy to just get him into those rambles, those moods. But I want those rambles to be something that kind of stands out and makes it like a realization, basically, like in Taxi Driver when he's talking about oh yeah, all those people, those filth and scum, they need to die. And in Joker, where it's if you saw me dying on the street, you just walk right past me, stuff like that really makes you question why people are doing this to this person and what makes them not as bad or as fucked up in the head as he is. And there's going to be a part 2 that basically after part one of Dead Flowers, obviously he gets arrested for killing those people, and he goes to prison for 10 years. And when he gets out of prison, he is 27 years old. And that's the second arc of the story where he falls in love with a girl in a state psych ward. And they pretty much start engaging in like robbery and murder, and it kind of has like a Natural Born Killers and a Bonnie and Clyde vibe to it. But yeah, that's the premise of the story. I really want to engage a lot of interesting cinematography and references and retcons to a lot of psychopaths in movies, like Clockwork Orange with drinking milk, and just stuff like that, little subtle Easter eggs here and there. But I just feel like I'm going to try to make it as interesting as possible, because when it comes to somebody recording it as like a vlog for an entire movie, it sometimes can get complicated and a little frustrating and nauseating to see the camera doing all that shit. But I think I can pull it off and have that aesthetic vibe when it comes to using like an actual 90s camera, So yeah, that's what I got.